Hello guys, Leo here. In today's video, I want to teach you how to install Betty on your local machine. Now, what is Betty? Just to give you a little understanding on who or what Betty is. Here I am in my Evernote. If you want access to these notes, I have a lot of information in here. You can check it out in my GitHub repository. I have a repository in there known as programming notes. There's a wealth of resources that you can find over there. When you go in there, just give me a like, give me a follow, and star my repository. That is a little you can do for me. Now, in my notes over here, it says that to check your code against the Linux kernel coding style, you can use a tool called Betty style. Betty style is a script that checks your code for compliance with the Linux kernel coding style and provides suggestions for improvement. So this means that when you are writing a C code, you need to write the code to be compliant with what is known as the Betty style. If your code is not compliant with this Betty style, it's going to produce errors. But before you are able to check your code with Betty, what you must do is to install Betty on your computer. And today we are going to run through the process of installing Betty on your computer. When you go into your Ethernet, you're going to see in your 0x00C project, you're going to see Betty linter. And we see that to check if your code is Betty compliant, the syntax to use for it is Betty and then your file name, which is your C source code. All right. To install Betty, what you must do is to go into this GitHub repository by Hobarton School. Now, when you are inside the repository, what you want to do is to clone the repo to your local machine. If you do not know how to clone a repo, you can check out a video on this channel. Stop using passwords. It talks about git cloning with your access token. A very wonderful video. So you git clone and enter the URL, and then you enter, and you are cloning into Betty. Wonderful. Right after cloning, the next thing you want to do, wonderful. So let's ls and see what is in here. Sorry, we first have to cd into the Betty repo. So let's cd into it, and now we can ls to see what is in here. Great. So you can see that there are a few files in here. There is a Betty style pl, betty.sh, install blah blah blah, and all these files over here. The next thing you want to do is to run the command sudo.install the shell. All right, so you're going to install this as a super user. So just paste it into your terminal and then you enter. Great, you're all set. Now, for some of you, it might require your password, especially if you have not tried installing Betty before. When it requires your password, what you must do is to enter the password of your PC, not the password of your GitHub account or your access token. Just enter the password of your PC, your local machine, because you are installing Betty as a super user. And as you can see, I'm all set right here. Okay, so let's go back into our intranet for the last set of instructions. It says that emacs of vi a new file called Betty, and then copy the script below this script. So let's vi Betty. Okay, now we vi Betty, which is case sensitive. You want to do it exactly as you see it, and then enter. We go into the insert mode and we go into our intranet and copy this script exactly as we see it. Let's copy all that. Copy. Now I'm done copying. I'm gonna go into my Betty file and paste it, then I'll exit. Great. Then the instruction says that once saved, exit file and change permissions to apply to all users with the command change mode all plus execute Betty. If you do not understand what this command means, you want to watch my video on shell permissions 0x01. There is a lot you learn from shell permissions. So we change mode all plus x and then we enter. Great. Then now you move the Betty file into bin directory or somewhere else in your path with sudo. Now we move Betty to the bin. Just copy that, go paste it in your terminal. What happens when you move a file into your path is that you can execute the file from any directory. You don't have to be in the exact directory before you execute the file. So that's what we're trying to do. Okay, so when you have done all that in your terminal, you want to run the command Betty. Great. If it tells you that no arguments passed, but does not tell you that command not found, it means that Betty is working in your system. So all you have to do is to cd into a folder that has a C file, and you can try and test it with Betty. So let me cd into a folder in which I have a C file, and then let's try and run Betty. Let me ls and see what we have here. Okay, so you can see I have a file here called test.c. So let's try it out. Test.c. Now let me Betty test.c. Wonderful. So as you can see, Betty is warning me, is giving me 4 main warnings. I have trailing white space. The int main function should be int main with a parameter or argument void, and it's not in there. And I have another trailing white space, and then parentheses are required on the return statement. So I have all these errors in my file. Let me clear my screen and let's list the name of the file, test.c. So this is the file, and Betty is saying that we have several errors here. So let's try and correct it. Let me vi the name of the file. Great, and I go into the insert mode. So let's try and effect some corrections in here to see if Betty is gonna pass us. So he says that we should add void over here. And then also delete our trailing white spaces. Now let's add a comment here, because one of the Betty style coding is the requirements of a comment right here. Great, we can now say main. Let's actually move this down. Alright, let's give a space. Then give a space here too. We are trying to make it as Betty compliant as possible. Then let's say that our return this returns 0, and we use space and close our comment and give another space. All right, we did this. Let's go and Betty our file again and see if it's now Betty compliant. So I exit vi and I Betty test.c, and I have 2 errors left. I have a trailing white space and parentheses are required on a return statement. So let's go correct that. So I now vi the name of my file. Okay, so it says that parentheses are required after a return statement. So let's give the return statement. Now let me go into the insert mode, and let's give the return statement parentheses now. So I give the return statement parentheses. You realize that Betty is now guiding me to make my code better. Betty is now guiding me to make my code better. Okay, and one thing you must note about Betty is that when you're looking for the error, it actually tells you the line on which the error is. You know what? Let me just exit vi and Betty again. So I'm gonna Betty in the name of my file. Let me clear my screen so that we have space to work with. So I'm gonna Betty the name of my file. Now you see that it says that I still have a trailing white space on line 10. Okay, so let's now vi and go and check what's up on line 10. So you count 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10. You can see we have a trailing white space after our hello world command. So let's Betty again the name of our file and see if Betty will save us this time around. As you can see, we are safe with Betty. Betty accepts our code. So guys, that's how you install Betty, and that's how you use Betty to check your C code. Thank you for watching.